We're going to get started in a few minutes. Don't forget that POC has their wares over here for your Christmas gift giving needs. So take a look at it before you sit down. They'll be here after 2. In a few minutes. Don't forget that POC has their wares over here for your Christmas gift giving needs. Welcome, everyone. It's a wonderfully beautiful day. Look at this. We got some snow and sleet and rain and wind. And aren't you happy that you're here, nice and warm and snug with your fellow Rotarians? Welcome to all of you, and welcome to our wonderful meeting. Today, I would like to acknowledge yesterday was Veterans Day. If we can just have a big round of applause to our veterans as a thank you for your service. And let's have one of our veterans, Glenn Garlick, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Either one. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And there's a fella here that was really, he's going through some withdrawals, not being up here every week, not being the center of attention. So Wes, if you could lead us in the 4-way pack, that'll ease your withdrawal symptoms a little bit. I'll have courage to tell the whole truth. I'll be kind in the way I tell it. I will be fair and not seek selfish advantage. I'll have an open heart and an open mind. And Don Miner tried to hide Jack Lucas, but it didn't work. So there he is. Jack, if you can please give us an invocation.
Think about it. Dear God, we give thanks for the rain that you brought today. And we give thanks for the veterans that we celebrated yesterday. We also give thanks for the guests that are with us today. And we ask a blessing on the Rotarians here and around the world and the projects that they're involved with. Bless this food and this meeting to our use. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Have a seat, everybody.
Looks like our crew is kind of missing.
Oh, look at that.
Okay. Lots of room over here, lots of room over here. That's good. Lots of- There's only a few minutes left. We turn around and look at the other bench.
And the announcement. He didn't do what they said. It was not. Yeah, there was no question that would be their standard. That was what it was. And, I was there.
I used to call myself that.
I went there. And because the announcers
He took a shot.
That's so subjective. You got a guy that's, you know, 265 pounds running a guy full speed. Lets that ball go faster. You can get to it before you're supposed to.
Remember that year? I always said,
you know, and fields and nothing happens, and you sneeze at the end.
say hello to me when you're old.
Yeah.
Be mad.
I mean, sure, he's a senior citizen, but still.
Oh, really? Yeah, down here?
Open wide.
3 weeks ago. No, not yet. She is not enjoying so much faster than the pros. My daughter's pretty good in college.
So one guy wants on ESPN say the difference between college and pro. In college,
I was gonna say 30.
one or two steps under is wide open. Really pro when he has half a step under is wide open. So first instinct is that he's covered. But no, in the NFL, that's considered wide open. Actually, so many people are running wide open. So many long coverages.
I was there.
All righty, things have calmed down a little bit. You guys have settled in, so that means I got to rile y'all up again. So here we go. Lots of wonderful things going on today. We will be introducing each of the guests at our table. Rotary news of the week and all kinds of cool things that way. Happy dollars and lots of club announcements. Holy cow, are we starting to get busy. We will be doing birthdays and Rotary anniversary today. Yes, we will. But I know the real reason why you all come is the Queen of Diamonds, and we're getting close, man. It's less and less cards available, and so that'll be happening. We will have fun and frolic with your fast and friendly fine master. I don't know what makes him fast, but it all works all together. We will have our guest speaker. We have Jeff from Cantini, who will be talking about that organization as well as some other wonderful things. And of course, we'll round everything out here at the end. So guests, let us see if we could start that far back table and smiling, happy Rotarians holding hands. There you go. The middle back table. He looked like he was getting up to say welcome to a guest, but he was just messing with me. And that table over there in the other corner, nope. Holy cow, the bad boy table. Look at that. I don't think I've ever seen that before. No, there's only 2 of them. Yeah, I think that's the case. And Mr. Erickson, will you?
We do have a guest state attorney, Gary.
Why don't you come sit here in front and we'll introduce you right now, real quick, right here. And Kevin Paps, he is from Northwestern Mutual, a guest of the club. And Mr. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I'm happy to introduce Lisa Gutierrez, who is the new director of the POC South at Hanover Park. And we're going to be working more with her, we hope. And also Helen Munoz, who's responsible for a lot of crafts here on the table. So make sure you get over there and take a look for crafts. Any dollar they get is worthwhile and get it. So
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce our speaker, Jeff Anderson from Cantini, also a Saxon, and his daughter is going to Schaumburg High School next year, right?
Wow. Cool. We don't specifically have new members, but I did want to get you up to date. I don't know if you remember, but we're in a competition with the Arlington Club for net new members. And so we have had a net growth of 4 since July 1st. I got word back from them that they have also had a net of 4. So it is a tight race, and we'll come back at you. We'll get you updated here after the first of the year. Mr. Rogers, sir. You know, all we got to do is have a couple of people visit over there and just be a rabble rouser and get that taken care of. Definitely. So, all right, Rotary news. You should have gotten an email from the Rotary president, the international president, asking about a survey. And if you've not gotten it, I'm sure they're going to send it out again. But as he says, commitment to provide you with the best membership. Fill out that survey. It will be up there until December 10th, and it should only take 15 to 20 minutes to complete. So try to do that. You should see it in your emails because it's being sent to everybody, right? Everybody seems to got that. Nodding. Yes, International Sign of Recognition. Very cool. Now, some more Rotary good news of the week. Thank you, Pat. And thank you specifically to Holly. Last Friday, after the meeting, we packed 45 grocery bags for wings. And it was mayhem. It was a lot of fun, real mayhem. And we learned a little bit earlier this week that Interact clubs should take advantage of that volunteer hours to do those things. So as we do them in the future, we'll be introducing the Interact clubs to our club to do some of those things that make our lives a little bit easier. But Wings did respond to a Facebook post and said, "This is amazing. Your support is incredible. These groceries will bring many smiles to so many victims. The comfort of having good food to nourish us is nothing to take for granted. We appreciate and are thankful for all of you." So thank you, Holly and Wings Club. Let's give them a big round of applause. So that just leads us into some happy dollars. Whee! Who wants to be happy first and then be our collector? You know what? I'm going to have Michael Erickson go first so that he can collect because he's such a great collector. And oh, then sit down. We only no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
One day, Cheryl's sister would have turned 70. She died last March. She died suddenly. I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do to honor her death that happened. Cheryl's sister. So I have a check for $1,500 for the fishing well and an additional scholarship next year. Deb was professor of communications, both in Illinois and down in Florida. And Dr. Proctor was at the same community college as Deb. So this is for an additional fishing well scholarship in Deb's name for next year. So $1,500.
And I honestly think that sometimes I just need to shut up. Anyway, Holly, go ahead and be next.
I have $5 actually because I had our club president with me to the Conant High School Interact Club meeting that we're chartering a new Interact Club there to get that off the ground. His salesmanship and expertise and kind of gathering all the details together was really pivotal in that meeting, and I'm very grateful. And secondarily, I'm grateful for the snow. I'm probably the only one in this room, but my boyfriend loves snow. So for those two things, I am $5.
Excellent.
I have $2 happy dollars and a thank you to Alan Gade for having my back at a meeting yesterday. I have $2 more happy dollars for snow for today. $2 more happy dollars for my daughter is having her first lead in a Into the Woods musical tonight. And then $4 happy dollars for Alan Gade's fashion sense today.
Ooh. Alan, can you stand up for just 1 second so that we can acknowledge your amazing fashion sense? All right. I'm looking forward to it. Anyone else happy today? We got Glenn behind you. Glenn behind you. I don't know what I'm talking about. I know I'm putting all that together in one sentence. I'm in a hurry, I guess.
So I have $10 happy dollars because Joyce and I celebrated our 52nd wedding anniversary on Monday.
Jim for Rainey.
Okay, so my wife every year goes out and does shopping with a friend, Christmas shopping. She used to take the day off from work to do that. She said, "Hey, I need some cash." So I said, "Well, my cash is over there on the table. Just take it." And she literally left me singles and fives left. That's all I had left. So I'm giving you $5 today. The $5 is because I'm taking a Spanish class and I at Front High School in continuing education. I'm doing great at it. And I saw Mike Olak there. He was teaching a class there too, so it was fun. And
Very cool. Ah. Oh, man, just exactly. All right, Randy, here we go.
All right, I've got two happy dollars, and you probably know last Thursday I had a major scare of something up here turned out to be a gallbladder problem. I understand that everybody's got gallbladder problems. Been there, done that. So I'm happy because Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I spent the night in the hospital. It was not easy, but all is going well, and they're gonna take it out first or second week of December. So I can't wait for that to happen.
There you go. All right, well, hey. This is a strange one. This is a strange happy dollars. It should be meh dollars today. What else we got going on? Let's turn this around, Wendy. Very good. Anyone else? All right, Barry.
I live in Winfield, right next to Cantini Park. I'll tell you what, if they have not been to Cantini Park, it is a wonderful place. So please, our speaker today is going to give you a lot of great information about Cantini, and make sure you get over there because it is a wonderful place.
Very cool. And Gail.
I have a couple happy dollars for Glenn Garlick because he has gone around to several of the Rotary clubs in our district to give out his veterans pins. And I think that's just a wonderful gesture on his part to do that. And he went to the Wheaton Club last week, and he ran into a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and my high school friend couldn't wait to text me and say, hey, Glenn Garlick, he came to our club, he gave me wonderful pins. So thank you, Glenn, for doing that too.
Ellen Gate.
Well, I'm sorry, I would have given happy dollars last week, but unfortunately, I was unable to attend the meeting. So I have happy dollars for 2 reasons. One, even though Michigan State lost last week to Purdue, the week before they beat the University in Ann Arbor, whatever that school is called, because of their wonderful coach, Jim Harbaugh, who I pray never leaves us. He was the most valuable player on our team last night. The other one is my daughter, Emily. A lot of you know about my daughter, who's been in the international field, and she and two other people started a consulting business. Well, they've had some great contracts, Rotary International, University of Illinois, the McCormick Foundation. But there's a new thing that just came out. The Obama Foundation came out and is looking for some consultants to do a program for them over the next 2 years. And they the Obama Foundation received applications from 40 or 50 consulting firms all over the country. And Emily's coming back.
Excellent. And I'll say it because you won't. Next time we can let you use the PowerPoint. Yeah, for your program. I figured I'm getting it. I may as well earn it. Any other happy dollars before we move on to birthdays? It's birthdays, and the only two people that are here that have a November birthday are at the same table. Look at the excitement on their faces. We've got Jeff Miller and Chris Pionosa. You heard him earlier. That's probably the best I can do. I sure did. And you guys can combine for, $100. You can combine, for our basics. You can have It's really your choice, either individually or combined. I'll let you guys choose right now.
I certainly would like to not combine my.
Okay.
I'd like to, maybe for $20, a little something different. Maybe have the club come to me. Happy birthday.
Oh. All right.
Song, Tommy.
Nim, dip, dip, nim. Hey. Whew. All right. It is taking every ounce of my control not to make a joke right now on that. Chris, I see you digging in your pockets. I'm assuming you want a birthday, happy birthday something. All right. All right. Nim, dip, dip, name. Go ahead, Holly, lead it. Hey, look at that. Whew, wow. Jeff, I have to apologize. I know this is such an entertaining meeting so far. It's going to be tough to end this one here. We do have anniversaries, Rotarian anniversaries of Brian Burke, Eileen, Jim McCullough, John Silkey, and Glenn Jurgatz. So congratulations and happy anniversary for your many years of service in Rotary. Let's give a big round of applause. All right, club announcements. We did get an email back from Dennis O'Connell's wife when we were inviting them to the holiday party. He is back in the hospital. They're not exactly sure what's wrong. So I'm sure he would appreciate any type of communication that you can give him. So feel free to do so. For those of you who are newer, if you want to, you can go to Club Runner and you can find everybody's contact information there. And feel free to reach out to them. Anybody have announcements? Yeah, come on up. Sure can.
I just want to remind everybody about the holiday party. We have 46 people signed up. It's going to be a good turnout, a good party. We have entertainment. So please go to Club Runner and either accept or decline. So we know that you have gotten the email and are not able to get that. But we get to see everybody there.
Very good.
I just wanted to give a quick update from last week's meeting when we had Dave Ligman in from Hoffman High School and Brad Hostetler, one of our grads. Since that time out, if you didn't hear at the end of the meeting, we have a total of 11 kits that have been pledged at this point, which is $22,000 worth of kits. It's not too shabby. Appreciate that. And talking to Dave after the meeting, he said he has reached out also to Conant High School and Schaumburg High School to see their interest in this kit project. And right now, Schaumburg is very interested in it. They have 3 kids that they have immediately recommended, as well as they're saying they probably have 5 to 7 a year annually that would fall into that. And that's on the conservative side. So Conant, we're waiting to hear numbers from them, but it verifies that there really is a strong need for this program out there. And we're really appreciative that we're working with the morning club to provide some of that support going forward this year. We're really kind of hopeful that we can use this as a catalyst to get some principal ship on the south side to recognize what Rotary does in the community. And maybe we can get a member into the club although there is an update, I think maybe coming hopefully with 211 membership. We're right now in the process of putting together a small committee to take a look at how we might be able to promoting this within the community, going out to dealerships. Dave is putting together a list of all grads that have been hired by local dealerships over the last 15 years. And we're going to do an assessment of where they are, who receive vocational scholarships, how much money are they making, so that we can start determining a little bit more of what our return on investment is and the money that we put out there in the community. And I know we've been looking to do that in the club for a long, long time, but now we have the mechanism to do that. And then I'm going to go back into the vocational scholarships because I've got records going back to 2008, and we'll try to pair them up with the kids that have received scholarships and that are working out there in the dealerships. And then we'll use that as an impetus to ask dealerships to think about sponsoring toolkits for up and coming mechanics in the area. And one of the incentives that Dave is hoping to offer is, well, we can do some things like put logos on the toolkits that recognize the sponsors. But one of the things that he thought would be interesting is providing interns to the dealerships that sponsor a kit out of his automotive club and see if we can't get that relationship more beefed up as well. So that might be a good way to get into the dealerships to get some support. I want to close by saying that, I'm reminded by Eileen often of a saying as a quote from Margaret Mead, and it really is so appropriate for this club. It goes, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And I attribute that to this club as a great example of how we operate. And I want to tell you, I'm really proud of you guys. And I'm proud to be part of this group. So thanks.
Hello, Friendly Club. So just my weekly announcement that we're going to meet at the Bloomingdale Club at the Bloomingdale Golf Club on the 23rd at our normal meeting time, but we'll just be at the golf club there. You can sign up now online, so go to our website and sign up. Is that true? Yeah. And please do, so that we can tell them how many to expect. And of course, we're collecting toys for tots. So if you're going to attend, feel free to bring toys and donate them at the time. If you can't make it, you can bring toys in any Friday between now and then, and I will deliver them for you. Or if you find it easier, I take donations and I'll buy toys on your behalf. Again, we're looking for toys for older kids and not wrapped.
When you said normal time, I think on the notice you sent out, it said 12 o'clock.
Right. So I guess that's my fault because I always get here at 12 because I never want to be late because the fine master fines you. But it is, I think it's officially it's 12:15. I think just like ours.
Very good.
I saw this in the Daily Herald this week, and I thought it important enough to bring up in this forum. So we all know that our biggest mission at Rotary is inoculating the world against polio. And we know there's one country in the world that has been the sort of bastion of polio, which is what country? Afghanistan. And the new government in Afghanistan is unfortunately the Taliban, but this is a good headline. Taliban launched polio vaccination drive. Apparently there have been some 3.3 million children in Afghanistan that have not been vaccinated against polio, that they are now letting the UN in to come in and do vaccinations against. So, we're this close, and I just thought that was some good news to share with everyone. Thank you.
All right, Barry.
Yeah, I'll do my announcement. I'd like to thank the entire club for Shop for the Top donations. Last week I said I would match $500, and we did. And we got others more than that coming in. So I want to thank you again. If you haven't donated, you can still donate online. Pat sent out an email Wednesday. The link is there. If you wish to donate anything, we'll be issuing a check sometime next week. So thank you again.
Very good.
I missed $50 because I was eating my, I don't know why. But I'm happy because the power went out this morning at my home. And about 4 years ago, I put in a big giant 11,000 kilowatt standby generator because the power always went out. And since then, the power has never gone out. So this morning at 5 o'clock, when the power went off and my big generator kicked on, I was really happy.
That's all we need. I get it.
Was that your announcement?
That was my happy dollar.
His announcements, yes, very good. And then, and lastly, do not forget that we have the artisan crafters here at the table sitting over here. They'll be here after the meeting. Please peruse. An excellent time to do some one-stop shopping for your holiday season. Let's see if we get through. Oh, baby, it's Queen of Diamonds time. I know. The excitement. It's unbelievable how exciting this is. Look at this. We got over, what is it? 324 entries in there. And I'm pretty sure it's going to make a noise. So here we go. And it's not. Tick, 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 tick. Nancy Redmond. Do you remember the number? She said if it's her or John Silky, there's a specific number.
I thought it was only John.
Oh. I believe she did say that. So she did have a proxy, which you can do in bylaw section 4, subsection 2 of the Queen of Diamonds. You can do this by proxy, and no, that wasn't the truth whatsoever.
Of course, Rachel was in the today.
It's quite the Rachel is quite the knifer.
How did Rachel do that for a couple of weeks?
She's amazing with a knife. Zip, zip, zip. There it is. There it is. Look at that. But
8 of spades.
oh, wah, wah. All right, I'll let you enjoy your meal for a few seconds, and then we'll bring up our fun and family frigger rigger fine master.
Could you repeat that?
Nope.
Bruce wants to put it in the box.
One guy's been here.
Very close.
Somebody or somebody. And then probably very or
What's your address?
Oh, 1475. Yeah. Scott is our managing director. And then he, at least 10 years.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's just gotten so intense in here, just waiting for my punishments, our punishments, but it's so well worth it. It's, what is it, Jeff? It's for the kids, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, your fashion plates, the man who's going to come up here strutting his stuff, wearing the clothes of a fine looking man. Is it working? Is the number going down? Alan Gabe, everyone.
Thank you for some of that, Tom. So I'm going to start out with Tom because 2 weeks ago, Chris, am I interrupting you? Okay, that'd be $2. Wait a minute. So I'm going to have all the veterans in the room, please be my collectors today. So if you did not reach, yesterday was Veterans Day and the day before that was a Marine Corps birthday. So if you did not reach out to a veteran or to a Marine in the past 2 days, shame on you, and pay $2. This is the truth. So if you do not do that, that'll be $2 each. 2 weeks ago, Tom Ghosh, our illustrious president, used the R word instead of the word drawing. So that'll be $2, Tom. So as you all know, as Tom indicated, we have inducted 4 new members in the club this year, which is great. 2 of those members came from foreign country, Anastasia and Randy. So if you were not born in a foreign country, that'll be $2. Oh, and by the way, Missouri is not a foreign country.
Well, everybody at this table owes me $2.
I love it that Vince walks around collecting money. To get money from Vince, it's like he opens his wallet and the butterfly comes out, or the moth comes out. So, okay. Also, reaching out is very important. And we're the friendly club, despite what all the comments here today. If you didn't reach out to a fellow Rotarian in the past week on something other than Rotary business, that also will cost you $2. Now, Keith, you're sitting up front, and you know the rule. We don't usually, Jim, confirm this. We don't usually find a guest.
I'm saying that's true.
Okay, Jeff, you usually don't find a guest.
Yeah, but there's been some exceptions.
There's been some exceptions. You're coming into the club soon, but you were late. So everybody who was late is going to pay $2. And Keith, that includes you because, we're going to love you soon. So everybody who was late paid $2. If you did not give a toy for Tots to Roger, or if you did not give Roger money so he can go and buy toys for Tots, that'll be $2. Because Roger, what do you want to do the Bloomingdale Club regarding this? So he wants to destroy them, and his favorite term used to be he wants to crush them. So, being the friendly club, we want to crush them. Yes, Holly? Well, if you're going to bring the toys to the thing, that'll be $2. But if you're going to bring the toys to Rotary, you don't get a fine.
But
if we're bringing. them-
I know what she's saying, Pat. Yes, I understand. Okay. You know, Pat, that'll be $2.
How are you allowing people to argue with the finance?
Who do I just find her? Wait, you're gonna give me instructions on finding?
You're losing your touch, buddy.
$2, Vince.
Veterans don't pay today.
Who said that?
You.
No, I didn't. I said veterans are going to be collectors. So Terry, get $2 from Vince. Glenn. No, your own $2, Vince. Okay, Vince, you know, that was really good. That was really cute. Now your fine's $5.
I'm just living up to what you play my hand now.
Glenn, I want to go over and collect the $5 from Vince, will you? So today, if you did not reach out to our secret greeter today, that'll be $2. And that was Randy, was our secret greeter. No, he wasn't here last week. We're all really glad he's here. And we hope he's going to be well for his surgery. So if you didn't say something to Randy, you can shake his hand, hug him, kiss him, something of that nature. It'll be $2. Speaking of that, hugging and kissing, Chris, do you think you could be a little more sexist?
When you called me a liar?
No, no, you know, it's the truth. Fair to, four-way test. But having the $2, Chris. Glenn, you've been married how many years?
52.
And you only gave $2 happy dollars?
No, I gave 10.
You only gave 10. You were married 50, so Joyce is only worth 1/5 of the years you've been married to her?
Don't understand.
I know, pay $2. Jeff,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna repeat what Roger said at your table, but come on. Yeah, okay, fine. That'll be $2, Jeff. Okay, talking about sexist. Well, Vince, I'm not gonna fine you for this, but I was so expecting.
Come up so much during Fire Frolic.
Have you looked in the mirror? You know, this is something I expected you to say. So when Chris wanted the people to sing, happy birthday to him, your comment was, how do you define young women? I thought that was good. I'm not fining you for it. I just want to point out that you finally came up with a fair question. So no fine for that. But Tom, you've been mean to me. That's not very nice, being mean to me. I gave you a pass a couple of weeks ago. And now, you use the R word, and then you were mean to me. So I'm going to fine you $2. Okay? If you're not wearing your pin, you're not wearing a badge, that'll be $2. And Jim Fabrini, I have a question for you. How can you sit next to a sex? I thought they were your sworn enemy.
Section?
Yeah.
No, we're all District 211. We can live together, no problem at all. I'm giving up on that.
How many people believed what Jim just said? You don't count. You're not a member. Okay, so everybody who didn't believe what Jim said, we know he only lies during Fun and Frolic when he's a fine master. So if you didn't believe what Jim said, $2. And if you don't have a guest at your table, that's $2 also. And Randy, you're using your cell phone at the meeting when the meeting started, that's an automatic fine of $5. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy this beautiful Chicago weather.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Always love when Alan is the Fun and Frolic Fine Master. I got goat gun here. So what I would like to do now is introduce our speaker, who will be talking about Colonel Robert McCormick and also Cantini. So ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause to Jeff Anderson.
Thanks, everybody, for asking me to come out. Can everybody hear me? Good. So my name's Jeff Anderson. From Cantini Park. More specifically, I'm from the museums at Cantini Park. I put that in there because if you've been to Cantini, Cantini has a lot. We have probably the number one draw is our gardens. And if you haven't seen them, we just finished our garden renovation last year. They're amazing. There's 30 acres of gardens. I spent 15 years working at the McCormick House. That's the home of the gentleman behind me. And then the last year I've spent at the First Division Museum. So something fun for everybody who is a veteran here or knows someone that's a veteran. They don't have to pay to ever visit Cantini. We have something called the McCormick Honor Club. Basically, you show any kind of proof that you served or are serving, and you get a free 5-year membership. You get invited to special events too. So those are some of the fun things we do there. And then, of course, as I look around, we also have Cantini Golf. And if you like golfing, we have that too. So there's quite a bit to do there. I'm going to give you a little history of the reason Cantini Park exists. And somebody mentioned the McCormick Foundation. If you don't know, the McCormick Foundation owns Cantini Park. We're a subsidiary of the McCormick Foundation. So you're going to get a history of why the McCormick Foundation was around. To give you that background, I'm going to talk about this gentleman. So has anybody ever heard of Colonel McCormick before? Good. Anybody ever read the Chicago Tribune? Watch WGN TV or listen to it on the radio? Okay, you've all been affected by this gentleman because his family ran the Chicago Tribune for nearly 100 years, from 1855 to 1955. It is the oldest newspaper in Chicago, and at one point it was the largest circulation newspaper in the world. It's not that big anymore, but at one point more people read the Chicago Tribune than any other newspaper that was printed. And the reason it got knocked out of first place is when their other newspaper, the New York Daily News, beat it in circulation. So they still had the biggest newspaper in the world. So let's start with Colonel McCormick. Colonel McCormick's family, there's two sides to it. There's the McCormick side, which if you like Chicago history, this gentleman, his name's Cyrus McCormick. He's called the Reaper King. He came to Chicago with this new kind of idea called the Reaper, created what's called McCormick Reaper Works, which then was renamed International Harvester, and it's still around today called Navistar. Basically, for 50 years, he was the biggest manufacturing magnate in the city of Chicago, was a really big part of Chicago's history. This is Robert's paternal side of the family. So he gets the name from that side of the family, but not the money. That's an important thing because people are always like, McCormick, like the spices, not the spices, not the McCormick Reaper family, because the money comes from, that's the machinery. This guy, Joseph Medill. This is his maternal side of the family. So Joseph Medill is probably my favorite person to ever live. I do a lot of talks about him, kind of have a bromance going on with Joseph. He's awesome. Joseph Medill was a farmer who eventually became a lawyer. Then he came to Chicago after getting involved in newspapers. He also helped create this new political party. At the time, it was a big anti-slavery movement. It's called the Republican Party. He's even credited with naming that party. So Joseph Medill was a big mover and shaker in the 1850s, came to Chicago, took over the Tribune, turned it into one of the largest newspapers in the Midwest. And he would run the Tribune until his passing in 1899. Did some interesting things. Who's heard of Abraham Lincoln? And a big part of that is Joseph Medill. He became one of the biggest supporters of Lincoln, helped him become president, was big friends with Ulysses S. Grant. I don't know if you heard, but the Chicago burnt down at one point in the Great Chicago Fire. The city turned to him for leadership and they elected him mayor of Chicago. He helped rebuild the city of Chicago. So Joseph did some pretty cool things, but we're not here to talk about Joseph. So the reason I bring these guys up is because this is the family that our benefactor is descended from. This is one of the cool things we have in our collection. The frame, the wooden frame, actually comes from the floorboards of Lincoln's law office. And inside it is a letter from Lincoln to the Tribune asking for a newspaper. There's a lot of letters back and forth. So Cyrus, his family, his nephew, marries Joseph Medill's daughter. And that would be these two gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. So I know it looks like she's a princess and she thought of herself like that. And the reason she's dressed like this is because this is Robert's mother and father. Robert's father was stationed in St. Petersburg, Russia. He was the U.S. ambassador to Russia. So he was a member of the Tsar's court. So it was a royal court. So that's why they're dressed up as royalty here. But these two individuals would be Robert's parents, his mom and his dad. They had 3 children. Their eldest son was a guy named Joseph Medill McCormick. Unfortunately, he decided to leave the newspaper industry and go into something else called politics. So he became congressman and senator from Illinois, so he did pretty well for himself. Their daughter, unfortunately, passed away at 6 months. And then the youngest was Colonel McCormick, our benefactor. So this is the kind of wealth and power she's born into, one of the more prominent Chicago families, two sides of it in Chicago. So really wealthy family. Joseph Medill, right before he passed away, bought about 200 acres in what now is called Wheaton. And he created a farm that he called Red Oaks Farms. And he paid an architect named Charles Coolidge, who was an architect from the Columbian Exposition that he knew because he was a board member from the Columbian Exposition or the 1893 World's Fair, to build him a house. So this is a summer house he built his daughter. This is the McCormick house. So if you know Cantini, this is the home that we talk about as McCormick's home today. Not bad, 12 rooms, 10,000 square foot summer house, not too shabby. This is what we call the Medill legacy. These are Joseph Medill's grandchildren. One of my favorite things is if you look at the names, they're almost all named Joseph Medill because they were all trying to get, Joseph's attention. So we have the eldest son, Joseph Medill McCormick. I mentioned a politician. The next eldest is Joseph Medill Patterson. He would go on to create the New York Daily News, one of the bigger newspapers in the world. And then we have the next eldest, Eleanor Sissy Patterson. And at the time, she wasn't considered to run the newspaper because women just didn't do that back then. Well, she proved them wrong. She became the first major woman to run a major metropolitan newspaper. She created the Washington Times-Herald. And then, of course, there's our benefactor, the one not named after Joseph, Robert McCormick. And he's the guy I'm going to talk about from here on out, really. Robert, before he got involved in the Chicago Tribune, because he never thought he'd get a chance to run the paper, because his older brother was supposed to do that, he decided to take a couple pages out of his grandfather's book. His grandfather had been a lawyer, so Robert decided to go to law school at Northwestern. While he was doing that, he got asked to run for an office in Chicago, so he ran and became alderman in Chicago. He impressed the city fathers so much they asked him to run as president of the sanitary district, and he won that. So during all of this, he passes the Illinois bar. After that, he creates his own law firm. Do we have any lawyers in the house? Yeah? There's a law firm called Kirkland and Ellis. You might have heard of it. Robert founded Kirkland and Ellis. So before he gets involved in the Tribune, Robert is doing very well for himself in politics, in legal profession and his business. But in 1911, he gets the opportunity to take over the Chicago Tribune, and he decides to leave everything, his law career, his political career, all, and he decides to go into the Tribune. So this is kind of how he comes to be at the Tribune. And the reason he does this is because his uncle passes away running the Tribune. There was a vacuum, and they decided to switch to Robert. Robert runs the Tribune at that point. As president of Tribune Company, Robert does some really interesting things. He runs it from 1911 through World War I, through World War II, goes into new medias. He creates his own paper mills in Canada. It's not like he had a couple of paper mills. He had 5.5 million acres of timberland in Canada. To give the perspective, that's larger than New Jersey. He created towns to generate paper for his newspapers. So he was doing all of this. Went into media like radio in the 1920s, television in the 1940s, WGN, world's greatest newspaper. That's what the Chicago Tribune called themselves. So he turned the Tribune from a large paper to a media empire, and the Tribune itself to the largest circulation newspaper in the world. So he did very well in the media industry. If you're in journalism, this is one of the bigger names you get in journalism, especially in the Chicagoland area. Let's see. To give you an idea of this media empire, this is what still exists today. This is not what his empire was. A lot of his smaller holdings have all gone to the wayside. This is what's still around. So you got WGN radio, television, Chicago Tribune. Unfortunately, his Tribune Tower is becoming condos. But this stuff still exists. His military experience. We just had Veterans Day. Robert served. He served with the Big Red One, the 1st Division. So if you visit Cantini, you'll notice we have a museum called the 1st Division Museum. They're located there because Colonel McCormick wanted us to honor the 1st Division. So it's a great museum. If you haven't seen it before, you can actually walk through World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. We have a whole new gallery added a few years ago where you can see more of the current conflicts the 1st Division's been involved in. Couple neat things that he did. He was in the Illinois National Guard originally. He got to be a war correspondent for the Chicago Tribune, so he got to go see World War I before the United States was involved. Went to the Mexican border during a punitive expedition, served under Pershing as a liaison officer. And he was at a really historic battle called the Battle of Cantigny. You might recognize the name. The reason we pronounce it Cantigny is because that's how Colonel McCormick pronounced it. I get corrected all the time that I'm saying it wrong. I'm not. He pays us. He called it Cantigny. It's Cantigny. It's not Cantigny. And if you go visit the village of Cantigny that we're named after, it's not called Cantigny. It's Cantigny. So it depends on where you're at and who you're talking to. But Cantigny or Cantigny was the first major U.S. offensive victory of World War I. The reason it's so important is because you have to think about U.S. military history prior to World War I. We really were an untested country, an untested military, going up against unquestionably the strongest military in the world, the German military in World War I. And we won. And then we successfully defended against 7 counterattacks, German counterattacks. So as far as American military history, it's a huge moment in military history. Robert, after the military, he decided to get involved in a lot of veterans organizations. Before that, just to give you a couple ideas, this is some of the neat artifacts we have. Since I'm in the collections department, you get to see this stuff. We have his mess kit from the punitive expedition, his dog tags from when he was a major. He wasn't always a colonel. He was a major, lieutenant colonel, then went up to colonel. We don't have his colonel dog tags because he's buried with them, but we do have his major tags. So that's what these are. And the page you see up here is his diary entry from when he was at the Battle of Cantigny. So these are some of the neat artifacts that we get to show and talk about and research through. The house. Colonel McCormick expanded the house in the 1930s. Remember, it was a summer house. It was only 10,000 square feet, not big enough. He decided to expand it. He turned it into what you see behind me. This 35-room, 27,000 square foot mansion. This was one of his several homes that he owned. And he expanded the farm. He took it from 200 acres. He took it up to about 1,000 acres. He renamed it after he returned from World War I from Red Oaks Farms to Cantigny Farms. Now it's Cantigny Park. So this is what Robert did with that house. We call it his primary residence because he voted from here after 1936. He owned several big homes. This was not his most extravagant or his largest. This was just his favorite house. To give you an idea of what it looks like if you haven't been there before, this is a photograph from the 1920s when he invited the advertising people at the Tribune to have a little get together at his home. This is on the east lawn. There's a big pool that used to be there. They're all diving and swimming in it. That's what it looks like today. So don't look for the swimming pool. It's been covered up with dirt. You can't find it without a shovel. But this is the beautiful East Terrace view. Anybody like movies? One of my favorite films is called A League of Their Own. Yeah, well, this is a big scene from A League of Their Own. Baby's Day Out, really horrible movie, was filmed there too. And another one called Richie Rich. So this is a scene from a couple of those movies. When Robert passed in 1955, he had this beautiful monument or gravesite built at Cantigny. So we do have Robert and Amy, his first wife, there still. This is the Excedra. This is where they're buried today. They're both buried with full military honors. When Robert passed, he was worth quite a bit. He was worth about $100 million in 1955. He decided he wanted to take the bulk of that fortune and create something that would outlast him, called the McCormick Foundation. So 55 million of that went to the foundation. He gave the foundation his house, his property, and most of his Tribune stock. Now, in the will, he gave us very clear instructions of what to do with it. He wanted us to give his fortune away to various charities, focus on specific areas, and that's where the McCormick Foundation comes from. He very clearly told us to open his estate, Cantigny, up as a park. He said, open it up to the park, to the people of Illinois and the visitors to Illinois. So at the top, you can see an aerial view of the Cantigny in the 1940s. At the bottom, this was taken around 2010. So you can see that they took the farm, turned it into a park. It's one of my favorite places to be. I'm not saying that because they pay me. I'm saying because my dad used to bring me here as a kid when I was 7 as a Cub Scout. And now I get to bring my Cub Scouts there. It's a lot of fun, which, by the way, you support both my kids' Cub Scouts and my other son's Boy Scout troops, PECs. So thank you so much for that. And then the big thing. So anybody in the philanthropic world has probably heard of the McCormick Foundation. We're one of the largest grant-making organizations in the United States. To date, the McCormick Foundation in Robert's name has given about almost $2 billion to charity. So this is giving you a snapshot of 1 year. This is 2018. They gave $77 million away, with another $20 million that they worked in conjunction with other organizations for. So almost $100 million in 2018. And this is kind of where they break down where the money goes to. One of the real fun things they get to do, and it's such a small slice, they don't include it in this chart, is they get a really neat thing with a staff like myself, actually get to go and volunteer our time at different organizations, and they pay us, and then they pay them. So we get to choose where some of that money goes. So even though it's a really small fraction, a couple $100,000, but they encourage us to be able to volunteer and where some of that money goes as well. So it's one of the cool things we get to do every single year. So that is my short version of McCormick's legacy. I'm curious, does anybody have any questions? Start over there.
How many people visit here?
Cantini Park, when I started Cantini Park, how many visitors we get was around 225,000 people a year. And before we did construction, and we're back to those numbers right now, is about 400,000. Hopefully when we're fully done with construction, because the house is under construction right now, they're hoping to be level out at about 500,000. But we'll see where they get. Good. Do I have history on any of the tanks? We have about 17 pieces of armor surrounding the First Division Museum. There's including 2 artillery pieces inside that the building. I can tell you that we were the first non-government run military museum to get an Abrams, an M1 Abrams. They still use those. Really cool looking tank. And I can tell you that we have tanks that go all the way back to World War I. We have an M1917, which is a World War I. It's not even a tank. It's a motorized machine gun, which is really fun. It had 2 people could be in it. You had the driver underneath, and then the officer was above him, and the driver couldn't see where he was going. So the officer would basically kick him on the side he wanted him to turn. So you didn't want to be the driver, you wanted to be the officer. But they didn't have it was just literally a big machine gun that couldn't move, so you had to actually steer it to aim it. So World War I tanks to more current conflicts tanks. We also have a working Stuart, which if you visit Cantini at various points, you can see last year we had our Stuart out driving over pumpkins for a Halloween event. So various pieces like that. They're not all tanks. We have some armored vehicles and other things like that too. Yes. One of the biggest questions we get is it haunted? Because as Americans, we hear anything's over 50 years old and it has to be haunted. The house is quite old. The house at various points is over 100 years old. So it is pretty old. I can tell you that I've done sleepovers there. I've been walking around that house at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I've been 15 years at that building, and I never saw a ghost. I've heard a lot of stories. I've had people try to convince me it's haunted, but I've never seen anything. I like to tell people if Colonel McCormick is haunting anything, he's haunting the Tribune Tower for what they're doing, what they did to his newspaper, or what they now are doing to his building. Because I don't know if anybody has $22 million to spare, but you can actually buy his office. That's one of their big suites upstairs, which is sacrilege. But you can buy a nice apartment. Any other questions? Yes.
If you want to see the World War I museum, how much time to see everything?
Oh, okay. So we get the First Division Museum quite often gets called a lot of different names, but I'm assuming you mean the First Division Museum. Okay, that does have a nice section that talks about World War I. It depends. I mean, I tell people you have to give yourself at least an hour in that building. But if you're a museum person like me, I can spend an hour in World War I. But I'm a museum guy. When my kids, they can run through that thing in 15 minutes. If you want to watch every video as you go through it, interact with every touchscreen that we have, you're going to be spending at least an hour. And if you haven't been there recently, and I say recently as in the last year, we've added quite a bit. There's actually a nice interactive about Omaha Beach, which if you haven't been to that museum, the World War II gallery is the coolest experience ever. I won't ruin it, but it's really worth seeing it. But I give yourself an hour, and then if you want to see both galleries, I'd give yourself an hour and a half. Don't visit trying to see the house. It won't open until hopefully sometime late next year. That building also usually takes about an hour. I tell people if you don't have 3 hours, you're not going to see everything. But again, 30 acres of gardens, that's a lot of gardens to get through. Yes.
I don't have a question, but I just want to tell you that it is a wonderful place. I'm an honor member, going to Canteen for years. A lot of things that you haven't mentioned, like summer concerts, like French Day. I mean, there's just tons and tons of stuff that goes on at Canteen. In fact, I got a text from you today about your upcoming brunch on November 8th. So if you're a veteran, you can join for free. And I don't know what the cost is if you're not a veteran, but
Depends if you're a senior or not. I know the prices range anywhere from like 55 to 85. It's not an expensive membership.
I mean, I would encourage you to go see this place. It's like nothing else.
The concerts happen every single Sunday in the summer, so they're free. They do symphonies; those aren't free. We just charge you what the symphony's charging us to have the people show up. We do. Anybody heard of Lieutenant Dan Band? Gary Sinise, he's supposed to be coming back next year as long as COVID lets up finally. And that'll bring out 10, 15,000 people and raise a couple $100,000 for veterans, which he's really fun to watch on stage. There's tons of stuff that we do. There's usually several programs a week. I used to do a lot of programs. I actually was talking to a few people who've been to my programs, which is kind of cool, but I don't do programming anymore. I do research and I work with collection objects now. So thank you. Oh, we got one more.
Collection objects. So if people find something they think is valuable, if somebody's passes away or something like that, is that something you guys might take a look at?
As the number one way we get stuff.
Okay.
Now, I should be very clear on this. We have two museums that have very clear focus on what we want, because I can't tell you how many people are like, my grandfather was in the Navy. Does the First Division Museum want their stuff? No. Was he an admiral or something really, really cool? If they're not a member of the First Division, or we're attached to the First Division, or we have somebody of some historical significance, the museum only has so much space. So they really only focus in on the First Division veterans, people who served. They do have some neat stuff for people who did not serve in the First Division. If you're like, my dad has the Medal of Honor and they're looking for a home for it, they're going to be like, yeah, we have 17 of them right now. So they're going to turn that down. But they might decide, if you're like, he served with the 5th, 162nd Airborne. They were probably going to send you to another organization that would be able to do more with it. Because I can tell you, I'm in the collections department and we have 16,000 objects, and the McCormick House has about 5,000. And then the other museum, if it's not related to Tribune history, the McCormick family, or something along those, they're not going to. They're like, I have a newspaper from this other newspaper. Well, we don't want it. Is it an old cool Tribune? We might. But yeah, well, so we do collect stuff. We do redirect people to places that they think it might be a better home for. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Yes. No, his father, his father-in-law. My dad was rejected by the military. No. I just because his father-in-law was a Medal of Honor recipient, and is not just a Medal of Honor recipient. Colonel McCormick's father-in-law performed the first action that was recognized with the Medal of Honor. So chronologically, his name is General Bernard J.D. Irwin. It took him 30 years to get the medal because his action was during the Indian Wars, and that the Medal of Honor didn't exist. So later on, he invented field hospitals and a bunch of other stuff. So eventually they went like, hey, we should give him a medal. So he was eventually recognized with it too. So he's married into a really prominent military family. Yeah, my dad was rejected because he's like deaf. But that would have been cool. Yes. We do those too.
You guys never seen six figures, 7 figure cars. It's just like a pleasure going there and knowing and seeing things that you don't see every weekend.
We've had some unique ones. I know there's a Rolls Royce club that comes. I was expecting much cooler cars at that show. but there's a really cool Corvette show that was really awesome. The Cantini car show is my favorite because we get the most cars, and then all the proceeds from that go to the Cantini parks. Like we have one specific charity that we give money to, and that's the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans, which is in Wheaton. So they get a lot of our 5K money and our car money. So yeah, but the car shows are great. Well, thank you. I'm going to hand it off.
Sure. We've got good for you. It's from Jesus to the house.
Thank you so much.
We can have it back too.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah.
Can I make an announcement in effect?
As soon as I tell everybody why you're making an announcement on the Classic, sure. Give me 1 second. All right. Here we go. Here's that. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you your Classic chairman, Glenn Jurga.
So now my job for the next 18, 20 weeks is like Holly, come up here every week and promote the Classic. So if anyone would like to be on the Classic committee, we meet on Zoom at 1 o'clock on Monday afternoons. So I'll stick around after the meeting today. If you'd like to be involved, let me know and I'll send you a link to the meetings on Monday afternoon at 1 p.m. Get excited. It's going to be a great year. Tom has done already a wonderful job, and the ticket committee's working very hard, so you might get your tickets within the next couple of weeks. Next week, Gail and Rosemary are doing the tickets, and they're on top of it pretty good. So look forward to everyone being involved this year. Thank you.
Yep. Which does lead me into next week. We will have club assembly. And what that means is we're going to make some announcements about what's happening with the Classic. We will be handing out tickets if all goes well with the printer. We will give you some instruction on how to promote the Classic through all of the different social medias, copying and pasting very easily from the media kits that Sarah Rodriguez and her staff has been putting together. So we're going to promote the heck out of this thing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a Hollywood theme, so you might see a trailer of some kind next week, something very creative and lots of fun. So if we could all rise. And look, there's Debbie. Hi, Debbie. How about we have you lead us in the four-way test? First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned? All right, this is Foundation Month, and I'm going to read this one to you because it's really good. This is the founder of the Rotary Foundation. Not to build monuments of brick or stone. If we work upon marble, it will perish. If we work on brass, time will efface it. If we, oh, it's crap, can't read. If we rear temples, they will crumble into dust. But if we work upon immortal minds, if we imbue them with the full meaning of the spirit of Rotary as expressed in our objects, with this, the fear of God and the love of our fellow men, we are engraving on those tablets something that will brighten all eternity. Thank you. Thank you for your service, both veterans and Rotarians. Outstanding meeting, outstanding week. Go get them. Oh, yeah, sorry. Hey, don't forget the tables are still open. Your one-stop shopping for all your holiday needs. And it's not ending.